Jai Hind. Firstly, my deep thanks for a very touching introduction. Only the deepest and the truest friend can do that. Indeed, it's a pleasure and honor for me to be on this forum of joint virtual global seminar today, which has been organized by Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, in collaboration with the United Service Institution of India, USI. The two organizations for which I have immense respect and reverence. My compliments and appreciation for selecting this particular subject. Asian Resurgence, Strategic Rebalancing, and the new geopolitical challenges. In fact, this is the apt need of the moment, which requires reorientation of global geo-look and introspection. The world is going through challenging times. As geopolitical tensions grow, the escalation in the arms race is inevitable, particularly in the arena of technology, outer space, and cyber domains. And this combined with the greater occurrence of, I would say, ideological struggles. President Joe Biden, he had conveyed in a summit of democracies whose theme was strengthening democracy and defending against authoritarianism. This, according to him, is the central challenge of our times. But this is not how Russia, China, Iran, and several other countries read the situation. They regard US hegemony as the most destabilizing factor in the world today. The great power game in Asia is attributed to the interplay of stressed multilateralism, uncertain economic recovery, the post-effects of pandemic that we just had and is continuing, deepening climate change threats, volatility in the energy market, and further degenerations of socio-economic situations. The Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, is making a bid for the third term as the Chinese Communist Party's General Secretary at the upcoming 20th Party Congress. In the run-up to the Congress, Xi has tightened the party's control over the military and economy, curtailed freedom and liberty, carried out purges in the party, and positioned China as the key challenger to the US-led unilateral world order. The Chinese economy is facing headwinds. China's new economic policies, encapsulated in the slogan of prosperity and dual circulation economy, have created doubt in the mind of the foreign investors. The real estate sector is burdened with the bad debt. Economic private companies have been brought under the party control. The trends in the Chinese economy will have definitely a global repercussions. In near future, one should expect Chinese assertiveness. We have seen their aspects on expansionism. This will be fueled by the aggressive nationalism to increase. Pressures on Taiwan will mount further till the geostrategic breakpoint is achieved. One nation, two systems, which permitted democracy in Hong Kong, is all but over. Repression in Xinjiang is increasing. Unprecedented surveillance enforced by the modern technologies in China has been unleashed there. China will become even more authoritarian. Repression at home and aggressive behavior towards neighbors is likely to invite some backlash. We've seen it in 2020. Despite the failings of the BRI, that's the Belt and the Road Initiative, China is likely to continue with it to bolster its influence abroad. Military modernization will be accelerated as China pursues its goal of emerging as numero uno in the next 2 to 3 decades. US-China relations are emerging as a key driver of Asian geopolitics. Although the two are mutually antagonistic, they are closely linked with each other economically and have a long history of mutual accommodation, at least since the 70s, early 70s. Decoupling is not straightforward. It has got its challenges and it's shaping up. The key issue is how far can the two countries work and cooperate to avoid tensions? Taiwan is likely to emerge as a flashpoint which could spell global instability. Accidents and misunderstandings can lead to escalation of tension and even conflict, presumably the World War III. The Indo-Pacific is emerging as a key area of contestation. The emergence of the Quad of India, consisting of India, US, Japan, and Australia, and now occurs, Australia, US, and the UK, has changed the security scenario in the region significantly. China is deeply suspicious of these two institutions. China will have to adjust to the new reality which is taking shape. It will most likely harden its stance and seek to co-opt the regional countries of ASEAN into the sphere of influence. I would say the several areas of conflicting interests exist in the Indo-Pacific, South China Sea, East China Sea, Taiwan, first and the second island chains. Maritime spaces are being militarized. High-level naval exercises are becoming common. The code of conduct between China and ASEAN is likely to miss the 2022 deadline. ASEAN is concerned about its centrality as China-US competition heats up. Linked economically with the China and with the US for the security, many of the ASEAN countries are feeling the pressure of managing the competition between the two giants. Today, I would also like to express my deep gratitude to founder, president of Amity Education Group, Dr. Ashok Chauhan ji, whom I had the pleasure of meeting. I was deeply impressed with his focus in life. My gratitude to Chancellor of the Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Atul Chauhan ji, Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Balwinder Shukla, General B.K. Sharma, Director USI, Lieutenant General S.K. Gadeock, DGAIDSS for having invited me to deliver this keynote address. I feel it very touching to take on this challenge as Governor of the Uttarakhand. I feel very thrilled, to be honest, to see so many veterans attending the function today and are part of this joint global seminar. Such a pleasure to see General Subrata Saha. I must say that today's event has helped me to relive the moment when I attended the similar joint seminar which was organized between Amity University and the USI in January 2018. General Gadeock is a close friend of last 5 decades, and 5 decades is a big time. We know each other since NDA days, and behind his distinctive grace and style of dressing is a heart of a gold and the leadership quality which has got compassion, excellence, professionalism in it. I'm very happy that this event has been organized, and this is the need of the moment to know the self-worth as India and also know the global challenges that we have in front of us. While coming back to the topic again, after having talked about China, I would say the Japan's security challenges have grown due to rise of the China. Confronted with a hostile China, a belligerent North Korea, and unrelenting Russia, Japan remains deeply dependent on the US for its security. There is a growing sentiment in the Japan for further strengthening its military capability. It has increased its defense budget multifold. Deteriorating relations with Russia and belligerent North Korea put additional pressure on Japan. Japan will have to find a way of dealing with the worsening security environment. Ukraine crisis has brought forth the fault lines of the precarious Western world model. The West is facing a set of problems that has put a question mark on the efficacy of the system. The Western democracies are struggling with many problems. The institution of global governance, which the West helped to create, are failing to resolve the global issues. These are the realities today. China raises suspicion in Europe, yet it has a strong economic and technology partnership going on between them. Chinese value system runs counter to the European values of democracy and human rights. European formula of cooperation, competition with China is still untried. Some European countries are trying to increase their presence in the Indo-Pacific region, which causes concerns in China too. Europe is being tested by Russia and the Ukraine crisis. Western sanctions are putting Russia closer to China. Ukraine may become cause celebre for the World War III in Europe if the situation is not handled with maturity and human dignity. Asian economy will also face the repercussion and be impacted adversely. When we look closer home, we find that in South Asia, Sri Lanka is experiencing the greatest economic collapse arising out of the high debt since its independence. There is no easy way out for Sri Lanka. People are facing hardship as the economy is in dire strait. The government is faced with the task of balancing its relationship between China and India. The government may look ultimately seek help from India in times of this national crisis. We had seen the Afghanistan crisis. Taliban are trying to consolidate their rule in Afghanistan. Although no country has recognized Afghanistan so far, several countries including China, Pakistan, Qatar, Turkey are helping to normalize the Taliban rule. The UN has also come up with $6 billion worth of assistance to tackle the humanitarian crisis after its exit strategy, a monumental historic travesty of losing $3 trillion in tangible assets. The fundamental nature of the Taliban has not changed, but they are playing their diplomatic cards diligently. The US is also thinking of assisting Afghanistan with humanitarian aid. One may expect greater mainstreaming of the Taliban in the coming years. Pakistan and Chinese influence in Afghanistan will be at the expense of Indian influence. India's access to Afghanistan has been affected a little. India has tried to deal through the various regional dialects in Afghanistan, particularly with Central Asia, Iran, and Russia. India will have to be cautious about threat of drug and narcotic originating from Afghanistan. I would say Pakistan is likely to become more unstable and follow suit akin to the paralysis in Sri Lanka. Pakistan's debt-ridden economy is under severe pressure. Inflation is in the double digit and rupee is weak. Pakistan rupee is weak. Pakistan is in desperate need of external funds. It remains on the grey list of FATF. Political instability and religious fundamentalist forces are on the rise again. TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban, is once rearing its head against the Pakistan regime. The CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, will continue, but I think they've already seen the decline towards almost a failure. It's already scaling down of many projects. The debt trap will emerge and China will demand areas in Pakistan in exchange for incorrigibility of the Pakistan authorities on the issues. The killings by Baluch will continue, seems it will continue, as they have not accepted Chinese projects and workers in the backyard, which has been brutally suppressed by the Pakistan army, in violation of the human rights, which has been going on for quite some time. Pakistan remains deeply hostile to India. It has yet to go through a strategic revision of its policies. It continues with the efforts to destabilize India by supporting terrorism and radicalization in Kashmir. Lately, it has also begun to reactivate radical Khalistani elements based in Pakistan, Canada, and other Western countries. I think these geopolitical trends have a deep impact on Indian security. India will have to find its way in negotiating the great power rivalries. Since 2020, China has emerged as the greatest threat to India's security. I think, let's be frank about it, is the primary national security threat. Chinese hostility towards India will continue to manifest along the borders, with tensions likely to persist despite the continuation of military and political level talks. New friction points may emerge. China has built numerous villages along the entire length of the border for the military purposes. It has also encroached on the territory in Bhutan and Nepal. These are worrisome trends, as it enhances military infrastructure and deployment of high-end technology systems to gain ascendancy against Indian armed forces in the contested areas. China is sensitive to India's participation in the Quad and its growing security ties with the Western countries. India-China tensions are likely to play out in the backdrop of regional and global political military trends. India has the challenging task of maintaining a balance of its relationship with the West on one hand and Russia and China on the other, exercising strategic autonomy. Its approach of multi-engagement with different countries on the opposite end of the spectrum is likely to continue in near future. India will have to navigate the pandemic, manage energy transition to green energy, assimilate new disruptive technologies, modernize its armed forces, and regain its economic strength with vengeance. While the world is likely to experience considerable turbulence in 2022, India has opportunities to position itself in the advantageous position. Global power shifts are strategically and politically significant, as normally they are rare and chronologically well spaced out. They tend to displace or restructure existing international orders and are therefore prone to generating strategic and political turbulences. The global strategic landscape, political and financial structures so far have been dominated by US and Europe. However, the Asian geopolitical strategic contours are shaping their regional outcomes with impact. Asia's economic resurgence and cumulative financial strength over the last 2 decades have largely contributed to global shift of power to Asia. Today, Asia overshadows the United States and Europe in economic and financial strength, which has greatly contributed to Asia's growing political leverages internationally. The continued growth of Asian economic, political, and military strength has contributed to emergence of Asia's leading countries, that is China, India, and Japan, as global players in an ascending trajectory as power centers of this region. I feel any research, any discussion must lead on to solution and recommendation and must assist in making our roadmaps. I think what is important is to notice the trends of hard decision, acts as per the national will, clear and resolute political will, which India has seen as winds of change in our environment. One thing is very important, that we must understand our self-worth as India. this point is important because at times we do not realize the self-worth of being India and Indian. In fact, in the COVID times, two factors have come out very strongly. One is the resilience of India, and second is the resolve of India. I think this is going to shape the India of future on all perspectives. It is important for us to reassess all elements of power, work towards comprehensive national power, and I think the track that we've taken for the defense reforms, jointness, integration, theaterization, Atmanirbhar is something that we got to go and score. The need is that the world is looking at India and we have a natural space in the leadership of the global affairs. I must thank Amity University. I must thank Dr. Ashok Chauhan ji, and in particular, I must thank General Gadeock. I think what he's done as a DGAIDSS really touches me. I know him for 5 decades. His credibility, his dependability, his professionalism, and he's made a mark on this issue of strategic perspectives. My compliments to you and my compliments to the entire organization, and I would also avail this opportunity to request Dr. Ashok Chauhan ji and Dr. Atul Chauhan ji to please visit us in Uttarakhand, and the imprints of Ma Saraswati ji in the form of your crusade of what you've done, excellence in the area of education, we must have its imprint in the home of Shivji, in the Himalayas, in Uttarakhand. I'm deeply honored, and I think it was a pleasure for me to participate in this and deliver the keynote address. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and my best wishes to all the participants. I'm definite about it that what you're going to discuss today in this seminar is going to make impact on Soch, Vichar, and Dharna, thoughts, ideas, and perception of we as Indian in the security issues at the strategic landscape. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.